Hi, this is Larry Johnson, and this is another in the series of video blogs that I'm doing on improving corporate culture. And today I want to talk to you about encouraging people to tell you what you need to know so you don't become a naked emperor. We talked about that in the last session. This time I want to talk about what you can do to encourage that even further than just saying you want to hear what they have to say. Because very often people won't tell you what they have to say unless they really believe that you want to hear it. And I teach management seminars, and I hear lots of managers complaining because they say, well, when they give their employees feedback, they either argue or get defensive about it, or they kind of nod and say, okay, and then nothing changes. And I don't know if you've had those kinds of experiences, but uh, the last time a manager brought that to my attention, it got me thinking about how good of a receiver of feedback am I as a manager? Am I always open to what employees have to say? And I recall a time when an employee suggested that we use a new invoicing system that he'd come across on the internet. And I said, well, what's wrong with what we have? And he said, well, no, nothing's wrong with it. I just think we might want to take a look at something else. And I said, well, okay, look into it and see what you find. And that's all I said. And he never got back to me. He never followed up. He never made any more suggestions about it. And so I figured, well, it wasn't that big a deal. If it's not that important to him, it's certainly not important to me. Well, about 6 months later, I had my employees do a 360 feedback deal on me. And I noticed that in the one item on the feedback form that said that your manager is open to new ideas, I didn't score as high in that area as I had on some of the other items. And so in a discussion about that feedback form with my employees, because I wanted to know what they really felt, and I wanted to hear if they're willing to tell me in person. And I said, I was kind of surprised about this item about Larry being open to new ideas. I thought I'm Mr. Openness itself. And after a little bit of hemming and hawing, it came out, well, when Joe suggested that idea that we try a new invoicing system, we got the impression that even though you didn't say so, you thought it kind of sucked. And you weren't even willing to try it. And I said, what do you mean I wasn't willing to try it? I told him to check into it, and he never got back to me. And Joe was there, and Joe said, well, I just didn't get the feeling that you were all that enthusiastic, so I let it slide. And it reminded me of how important nonverbal language is, especially in situations where it's a little tenuous or a little risky for the employee to say something to you, that the slightest intonation can make a difference in how he or she perceives your response to that situation. And I know in normal discussions around a table, we want to get into heated discussions and discuss ideas and what's the best way to go in a particular situation, or how to handle a client, or whatever you want to do, what you're talking about. But I have to always be cognizant that I am the boss. And being the boss, I have a power to really cause my employees grief if I chose to. And they all know that, and I know that. I'm a nice guy, and I hope I would never have to, unless, of course, I needed to. And I've been lucky enough to only have to do that a couple of times in my entire 30-year career. But it's there. And so I have to be sensitive to how they are perceiving my messages, and me just kind of arguing back, or in this case, not showing a lot of enthusiasm, can be interpreted as a turn down. And so then I have to think, well, if I want my employees to accept feedback from me, what kind of feedback accepting am I modeling for them? Am I showing them that it's important to be open to information coming in, and to be willing to change if you think it's necessary, and to listen to the feedback? If I'm not willing to do it, why should the people who work for me be willing to do it? So the first step in getting your employees to accept feedback is to be willing to accept it yourself. This is Larry Johnson. You can reach me at 602-943-0985. If you're still using a telephone these days, or you can reach me at Larry at LarryJohnsonSpeaker.com, or you can go to my website, LarryJohnsonSpeaker.com. and get a hold of me that way. Either way, I'd like to hear from you. And until next time, I hope you share this video. Thanks. Bye-bye.